Picture this, you're 7 months pregnant at your sister-in-law's wishing when someone sets you on fire in front of 200 guests. You dive into a lake to save yourself and your baby. You look for your husband to help you, and he's not there. He's talking to the woman who just tried to kill you, the woman he's been sleeping with for 18 months. The woman he told that your baby was just a golden ticket to his inheritance. This isn't fiction. This happened to me. And what came next, the betrayal, the conspiracy, the fight for my daughter's life will shock you. I'm Mallory. This is my story. And if you think you know how it ends, you don't. Stay until the end. Like if this grabs you, comment if you've ever ignored red flags. Share if you know someone who needs to hear this. Let's grow this community together. They tell you pregnancy is magical. No one mentions how it makes you invisible. I learned that the hard way on an August afternoon, standing at the edge of Mirror Lake, watching my dress turn into flames. But let me rewind. Let me tell you how a perfect wedding became the day I almost died. My name is Mallory Brennan Hayes, 28 years old, 7 months pregnant, and about to discover that the man I married was a stranger wearing my husband's face. It started 48 hours before the fire. My sister-in-law Claire was getting married at the Meadowbrook Estate, 2 hours north of Boston, the kind of venue that costs more than most people's houses. All sweeping lawns and lakefront views and white tents that looked like they belonged in a fairy tale. I was a bridesmaid, at 7 months pregnant. Let me tell you, Empire waist dresses are a lie. They don't hide anything. They just make you look like you're smuggling a watermelon under chiffon. My husband Brad was a groomsman. He looked perfect in his tuxedo. He always looked perfect. That was part of the problem. The rehearsal dinner was Friday night. 150 guests packed into the estate's ballroom. I sat at the family table, my feet swollen, my back aching, watching Brad across the room on his phone. Again, well, he'd been on that phone constantly for the past 3 months. When I asked about it, he'd say it was work. Always work. He was vice president of investment at Hayes Properties, his father's real estate company. Important deals, big clients. I believed him because I wanted to believe him. That's the thing about lies. They work best when you're desperate for them to be true. I went to the bathroom during dinner. The estate had these gorgeous powder rooms with marble sinks and those fancy hand towels you feel guilty using. I was washing my hands when I heard a voice from the adjacent stall. "Tonight at a woman said in her phone. Her voice was sharp, urgent. "I'm done waiting," he promised me. I didn't think much of it. Weddings make people emotional. I assumed she was talking about a date, a proposal, something normal. I dried my hands and left. I should have paid more attention. The woman who came out of the stall was named Sloane Parrish. She worked with Brad. I'd met her twice at company events. She had that kind of aggressive beauty, sharp cheekbones, expensive highlights, the confidence of someone who'd never been told no. Brad said they were colleagues, that she was brilliant with clients, that she'd gone to college with Claire, which was why she was at the wedding. I didn't like the way she looked at him. But pregnant women are paranoid. Right hormones make you crazy. That's what everyone kept telling me. The wedding day was perfect. 75 degrees, cloudless sky, light breeze off the lake. Claire looked beautiful. Her groom cried during his vows. Brad's father, Warren, gave a toast that made everyone laugh and then cry. Warren Hayes was a self-made billionaire. Built his real estate empire from nothing, starting with a single apartment building in South Boston. He was 64, former Marine, with these sharp blue eyes that missed nothing. During his speech, he talked about family, about legacy, about hoping for grandchildren soon. When he said that last part, he looked at me and smiled. It was warm, genuine. Warren had always been kind to me. I smiled back, my hand on my belly, feeling the baby kick. 2 hours later, I would be on fire. It happened during the reception. The ceremony was over, dinner was finished, and people were dancing. I needed air. My feet were killing me, and the baby was doing gymnastics. I walked down to the lake edge, away from the crowd. The sun was setting. The water looked like gold. I remember thinking it was the most beautiful thing I'd ever seen. Then I smelled gasoline. Sharp, chemical. Wrong. I turned, but it was too late. I felt liquid splash across my back, soaking through my dress. The pale blue fabric darkened instantly. A voice behind me, female, shaking with rage. He was mine first. Sloane Parrish stood 3 feet away. In one hand, she held an empty metal flask. In the other, a lit match. Time became something elastic. I saw the match. I saw her face, twisted with hatred. I heard the wedding band still playing up at the tent. I felt the baby kick against my ribs. The match dropped. Fire erupted across my back. The pain was instant and enormous, bigger than anything I'd ever felt. I heard screaming, multiple voices, mine, Sloane's, someone else's. My brain calculated through pure survival instinct. Water. 4 steps to the lake. The baby. Only the baby matters. I ran. 4 steps felt like running through concrete. The fire climbed my dress, heat searing my shoulder, my back, my arm. Each step was agony. I dove. The lake swallowed me. The world went silent underwater, cool and dark and safe. My body curled instinctively around my belly, protecting my daughter even as my lungs screamed for air. I had to surface, had to breathe. I kicked upward, breaking through into chaos. Hands grabbed me. Voices shouted. Someone wrapped a tablecloth around my shoulders. The smell of burned fabric and gasoline clung to my hair. The baby, I gasped. My baby. Ambulance is coming. A man said. I recognized him. One of the groomsmen. Mallory, stay still. You're okay. But I wasn't okay. My back felt like someone had pressed a hot iron against bare skin. I couldn't stop shaking. Through the crowd, I saw him. Brad stood near the bar, maybe 30 feet away. His face was white, his mouth open. He wasn't moving toward me, wasn't running to help. He was staring at Sloane. She stood motionless, the lighter still in her hand. Security guards closed in around her. She was crying, mascara streaking down her face in black rivers. I love him, Sloane screamed. I love him, and she took him from me. The guards grabbed her arms. She fought, still screaming. Brad, tell them we're supposed to be together. I watched my husband's face, watched his eyes find mine across the crowd. He looked away. My sister Jenna appeared at my side. She knelt in the shallow water beside me, her maid of honor dress soaked, not caring. I've got you, Jenna said. I've got you. The EMTs arrived. Efficient hands examined me, asked questions I could barely process. Yes. 7 months pregnant. No allergies. Yes. I could feel the baby moving. Thank God. Thank God. They lifted me onto a stretcher. I caught a glimpse of the upstairs balcony as they wheeled me toward the ambulance. Warren Hayes stood there, hands gripping the railing. His face was stricken. He'd seen everything. My vision blurred, shock setting in. The EMT said, normal response to trauma. Someone was holding my hand. Jenna, crying silently, her grip fierce. Where's Brad? I whispered. Jenna's face hardened. Don't worry about him right now. But I turned my head, looking back through the ambulance doors. The wedding reception dissolving into chaos. Police cars arriving. Guests clustered in horrified groups. Claire Thumb, the bride, sobbing in her wedding dress. And Brad, finally moving, but not toward the ambulance, and he was walking toward Sloane as police pushed her into their car, arguing with the officers, gesturing frantically. The ambulance door closed, cutting off my view. Ma'am, I need you to focus on me, the EMT said. His name tag read Marcus. Can you tell me where you're feeling pain? Everywhere, but where? I whispered. But the baby, is the baby okay? Marcus placed a fetal monitor on my belly. The rapid thump, thump, thump of my daughter's heartbeat filled the small space. Strong heartbeat, Marcus said, smiling. Your baby is a fighter, just like her mom. I closed my eyes, tears finally coming. The adrenaline was wearing off, replaced by pain that radiated from my back and shoulder in waves. 2nd-degree burns, Marcus was saying. Maybe 3rd in some places. They'll know more at the hospital. The baby kicked again, harder this time, angry, scared, alive. We're okay, I whispered to her. We're going to be okay. But even as I said it, doubt crept in. because the image was burned into my mind more permanently than the fire on my skin. Brad, my husband of 3 years, the father of my child, hadn't followed the ambulance. He was arguing with the woman who tried to kill me. The emergency room was too bright. Fluorescent lights made everything clinical and cold. I lay on my side while nurses cleaned my burns. Each touch sent fresh waves of pain through my body. On a scale of 1 to 10, a nurse asked. 8, I said, though it felt like 100. Jenna stood against the wall, arms crossed, still in her soaked dress. She'd refused to leave for dry clothes. Her eyes were clear and furious. "Where is he?" Jenna asked. For the 4th time, I didn't answer. I was counting contractions. The cramping in my abdomen came in waves. Regular, terrifying. The doctor pressed the fetal monitor against my belly again. She was maybe 50, with kind eyes and efficient hands. "Baby's heart rate is good," she said, "but you're having contractions. Regular ones. We need to stop this labor before it progresses." "It's too early." "I know," I whispered. "We're going to give you magnesium sulfate. You'll feel warm, maybe a little fuzzy, but it should work." Should, not will. Should. The IV went in. I watched the clear liquid drip into my veins, willing it to work, willing my body to calm down, willing my daughter to stay safe where she belonged for 8 more weeks. "Mallory," Brad's voice came from the doorway. He looked disheveled, tuxedo jacket gone, white shirt untucked. His hair stood up in places, like he'd been running his hands through it. Jenna moved to block him. "You need to leave." "She's my wife," Brad said. "She's my sister." Jenna shot back. "And you weren't there." Brad's face flushed. I was in shock. Someone just tried to murder Mallory. I was trying to understand what happened. Why Sloan would get out. I said. Everyone turned to look at me. I was staring at the ceiling, my voice calm, which somehow made it worse. "Claire, please," Brad started. "Were you with her?" I said. Not a question, a statement. "Before tonight, were you with Sloan?" The pause lasted 3 seconds too long. "It's not what you think," Brad said. Jenna made a sound like a wounded animal. "Are you serious right now? Mallory is lying here with burns all over her body, pregnant with your baby, and you're going to—" "I need to hear it from him," I said. I finally turned my head to look at my husband. "Tell me the truth. Brad, is Sloan your colleague or something else?" Brad's mouth opened, closed, opened again. "She's a colleague who developed feelings I didn't encourage. She became obsessed. I tried to let her down gently, but she's clearly unstable." "Did you sleep with her?" Jenna asked. "Emma," Brad said. "Answer her." I said, "We had. There was a brief thing, months ago, before we knew about the baby. I ended it. I told her it was a mistake. She wouldn't accept it." My hand moved to my belly. The baby kicked, oblivious to the destruction happening around her. "How many months ago?" I whispered. Brad looked at the floor. "It doesn't matter now." "How many?" I said louder. "Mallory, you're in shock. You need to rest. We can talk about this later." "Answer the question, Ryan." A new voice. Warren Hayes stood in the doorway behind Brad, still in his custom tuxedo, looking every inch the billionaire who'd built an empire. But his face was granite, cold, assessing. "Dad, this isn't the time." "Someone tried to murder your wife and child," Warren said, "in front of 100 witnesses at your sister's wedding. And instead of getting in the ambulance with Mallory, you were talking to the woman who did it. So yes, son, this is exactly the time, Satu. Answer her question." Brad's face went from red to white. "It was ongoing for a while." The words hit me like physical blows. Ongoing. A while, Mama Yesh. Not a brief mistake, not a momentary weakness. Ongoing. "How long is a while?" Jenna said. Brad's phone buzzed in his pocket. Once, twice, 10 times in rapid succession. "Is that her?" I asked. "Is Sloan calling you from jail?" Brad pulled out his phone, glanced at it, put it on silent. "I need my lawyer," he said. Warren's expression didn't change, but something shifted in his eyes. "Douglas is already on his way." Warren said, "But he's coming for Mallory, not you. If you need legal representation, you'll arrange your own." "Dad, Get out of this room. Warren's tone left no space for argument. Security will escort you. You can wait in the lobby, but you are not to approach Mallory again tonight without permission. I have a right to be here, Brad said. She's my wife. She's also the victim of attempted murder, Warren said, and the police want to speak with you extensively. Two hospital security guards appeared behind Warren. They didn't touch Brad, but their presence made their purpose clear. Brad looked at me. I looked away. Fine, wait, he said. But this conversation isn't over. Mallory, we need to talk. Really talk. When you're thinking clearly. When I'm thinking clearly, as if my perception of reality was the problem, as if I was the one who needed to reconsider the facts. Brad left. The security guards followed. Jenna locked the door behind them. Warren approached my bed slowly, like I might spook. This man who commanded boardrooms and built skyscrapers sat down in the chair beside me, so he could look at me at eye level. How are you feeling? He asked. Like someone set me on fire, I said. Then, because hysteria was bubbling up, because someone did set me on fire. Warren didn't smile. The police are here. They want your statement, but it can wait if you need time. What did you see? I asked. From the balcony. What did you see? Warren took a breath. I saw a woman approach you from behind. I saw her pour something on your dress. I saw her light a match. I saw you run into the lake. I saw Brad standing 50 feet away doing nothing. He was in shock, I said automatically, defending him even now. He was calculating, Warren said. I've spent 63 years reading people. Mallory. Shock looks different than calculation. Brad was weighing his options. The door opened. A detective entered, followed by a uniformed officer. The detective was a woman in her 40s, with short gray hair and tired eyes that had seen too much. Mrs. Hayes, she said, I'm Detective Dana Morris. I know this is difficult, but I need to ask you some questions. I nodded. Do you know Vanessa Hayes? Sloan, I corrected. Sloan Parrish. She works with my husband. Yes. Have you ever felt threatened by her before tonight? I thought about the company holiday party. Sloan's hand on Brad's arm, the way she looked at me, territorial, possessive. I thought she was too friendly with Brad, I said. But I never imagined she'd... This. Had your husband mentioned any problems with Miss Parrish unwanted attention, harassment? No, I said, then quieter. He said there was nothing to worry about. Detective Morris wrote something in her notebook. Miss Parrish has been arrested for attempted murder. She's admitted to the attack. She claims she was emotionally distraught over your husband ending their relationship. The words felt surreal. Their relationship. As if it was legitimate. As if it was something that could be ended rather than something that should never have existed. How long was the relationship? I asked. Miss Parrish claims it was 18 months. Detective Morris said, Can you confirm that 18 months? I was 7 months pregnant. 18 minus 7 was 11. Brad got me pregnant while actively sleeping with Sloan. Mrs. Hayes, Detective Morris said, I need to throw up. I whispered. Jenna grabbed a basin just in time. The hospital room was dark except for the machines monitoring my vitals and the baby's heartbeat. Jenna slept in the uncomfortable chair by the window, her breathing soft and even. I couldn't sleep. Every time I closed my eyes, I felt the fire, smelled the gasoline, heard Sloan screaming about love. A nurse came in at 2 a.m. to check vitals. I pretended to be asleep. I didn't want to talk. Didn't want to explain how I felt. Didn't want to hear empty promises about how everything would be okay, because everything wouldn't be okay. My phone buzzed on the bedside table, a text from a number I didn't recognize. Mrs. Hayes, this is Douglas Harper. Warren has retained me as your attorney. I'll be by the hospital at 8 a.m. with some documents you need to see. Best regards. Your attorney, not Brad's, not the family's, mine. My phone buzzed again. Brad. Mallory, please. I know you're angry. I know I messed up, but we can fix this. We can go to counseling. I love you. I love our baby. Please just talk to me. I deleted the message without responding. Have you ever wanted so badly to believe someone that you ignored what your gut was screaming? That's where I was, even knowing what I knew. Part of me wanted Brad's explanation to make sense, wanted the lie to be real. Morning came. Brad arrived at 6 with coffee and flowers. His explanation was rehearsed, smooth. Sloan was obsessed with me, he said, sitting at the edge of my bed. I tried to let her down easy. There was nothing between us. I swear on our baby. Look, he showed me his phone, text messages where he told Sloan they were just co-workers, where he said he was happily married, where he asked her to please respect boundaries. See, Brad said, I tried, but she wouldn't listen. I wanted to believe him. God, I wanted to believe him. Warren arrived, pulled Brad into the hallway. I heard raised voices, but couldn't make out words. Brad returned, his jaw tight. Dad's upset. He'll calm down. The morning stretched on. Police interviewed me. Brad's story stayed consistent. Sloan confessed to assault, but claimed Brad had led her on. He denied everything. Jenna watched him carefully. I never liked him, she whispered to me when Brad left to get lunch. But if he's telling the truth, I don't know what's true anymore. I said, that's when I decided I would believe my husband. Focus on healing. Focus on our baby. Maybe Sloan really was obsessed. Maybe Brad was telling the truth. I posted on social media, grateful for my husband's support through this nightmare, blessed to have him by my side. 6 hours later, my phone exploded. Anonymous messages flooded in, screenshots, photos, evidence I couldn't ignore. Brad and Sloan kissing. Date stamped 2 months ago. Hotel keycard receipt. Last month. Venmo payment from Brad to Sloan. $2,400. You know what for. 3 months ago. My hands shook as I scrolled through them. Warren arrived with a woman I didn't know. Rachel Cohen. Attorney. Sharp eyes. No-nonsense energy. Mallory, Warren said. I hired a private investigator yesterday. You need to see this. He opened a laptop on my bed tray. Apartment lease. Brad co-signing for Sloan's luxury condo in downtown Boston. 14 months ago. $2,300 per month. Credit card statements. $47,000 spent on business dinners. All at romantic restaurants. Wine bars. Hotels. Text messages. The private investigator had gotten them from Sloan's seized phone via legal subpoena. Brad to Sloan. After baby comes, we'll figure out an exit strategy. Sloan to Brad. You keep saying that. I'm tired of being a secret. Brad to Sloan. Baby's the golden ticket to Dad's trust. Once I secure it, I'm free. I read that last one 3 times. Golden ticket. Our daughter. The baby I was carrying. The child I'd already fallen in love with. He called her a golden ticket. My stomach heaved. I vomited before Jenna could grab the basin. Nurses rushed in. Alarms beeped. The baby's heart rate spiked. Mallory, you need to calm down, a nurse said firmly. Deep breaths. Your baby needs you calm. But I couldn't calm down because I finally understood that the entire pregnancy was calculated, strategic, a means to an end. Brad didn't love me. Maybe he never had. He wanted a child to secure his inheritance from Warren. He wanted Sloan, and he'd been trying to have both. Warren stood beside my bed, his hand on my shoulder. I'm so sorry, he said quietly. I should have seen this sooner. The door burst open. Brad, back from lunch, saw the laptop, saw Warren and Rachel. His face went white. What's going on? He asked. Warren turned to face his son. Did you call your daughter a golden ticket? Brad's eyes darted to the screen. To me, back to Warren. You don't understand the context. Answer the question. Warren said. Brad's mask cracked. Just for a second. But I saw it. It's the calculation, the cold assessment of whether he could still salvage this. He chose anger. You'd be nothing without me. Mallory, Brad said, his voice hard, mean. You need me. Good luck raising a baby alone with no money and no job. Get out, Warren said. This is between me and my wife. Get out. Warren's voice could have cut glass. Security. Brad pointed at me as guards entered. This isn't over. You're going to regret this. They escorted him out. I sat there. Burns throbbing. Baby kicking. World crumbling. Mallory, Rachel said gently. We're filing for emergency separation first thing tomorrow. restraining order, full custody. You're not alone in this. But I felt alone. More alone than I'd ever been in my life. Because the man I'd loved, the man I'd built a life with, the father of my child, he was a stranger. He always had been. The next 2 weeks were a blur of legal paperwork and hospital beds. My burns healed slowly. The baby stayed stable. Thank God. But the contractions kept coming in waves, forcing me to stay hospitalized under constant monitoring. Rachel Cohen moved fast. She filed for emergency separation, restraining order, and preliminary custody arrangements within 48 hours of the evidence coming to light. Brad hired his own lawyer. Expensive, aggressive, the kind who wore $1,000 suits and smiled with too many teeth. His counter motion arrived on day 5. I read it in my hospital bed, Jenna looking over my shoulder. Brad claimed I was mentally unstable due to pregnancy hormones, that I was paranoid and controlling, that he was the victim of parental alienation orchestrated by Warren Hayes. He demanded joint custody and spousal support. He wants money from you, Jenna said, incredulous. You don't have money. He has money. Marital assets are frozen during proceedings, Rachel explained. He knows you're living on Warren's support right now. He's trying to force you into a settlement by making life difficult. Will it work? I asked. Rachel's pause was answer enough. The media picked up the story. Pregnant woman set on fire by mistress at family wedding went viral. My face was everywhere. The security footage from the wedding, photos of me being loaded into the ambulance. But Brad's PR team was good. By day 7, articles started shifting. Anonymous sources said I'd been emotionally unstable throughout the pregnancy, that the marriage had been strained, that Brad had tried everything to make it work. Lies said confidently enough become truth in the public eye. You know that moment when you realize the person you trusted most is a stranger, that the life you thought you had was fiction? I lived in that moment for 2 straight weeks. On day 14, I was released from the hospital. Warren had prepared a guest house on his property for me. Small, private, safe. Jenna moved in to help. She'd taken leave from her medical residency. You're more important than surgery rotations, she said. That same day, good news arrived. Sloan Parrish took a plea deal, 4 years for aggravated assault. The prosecution had pushed for attempted murder, but her lawyers argued crime of passion and diminished capacity due to mental health issues. As part of the deal, Sloan refused to testify against Brad. Her statement to the court, Bradley Hayes never told me to hurt anyone. I acted alone out of jealousy and mental instability. This is actually good, Rachel said during our meeting. She's going away. You're safe. We focus on the divorce and custody. That's what matters. I felt relief. Brad couldn't be charged with conspiracy if Sloan wouldn't testify. The criminal case was done. We could move forward with the civil proceedings. I started to believe I'd win, that I'd get full custody of my daughter, that I'd be free. I should have known better. Day 16, Brad's lawyer filed new evidence. My Google search history, accessed from our shared laptop, how to fake pregnancy complications, getting full custody and divorce, hiding marital assets. I hadn't searched any of that, but Brad had access to the laptop. He'd planted the searches. Testimony from Brad's mother, Diane, who'd always hated Warren. Mallory has always been manipulative. She trapped my son with this pregnancy. An affidavit from Sloan's cellmate. Sloan told me Warren Hayes paid her to attack Mallory to frame Brad and take control of the company. It was all lies, every word. But it was documented lies, official lies, legal lies. The judge ordered an investigation, pending the outcome. Warren was prohibited from any contact with me. If he violated the order, he could be arrested for witness tampering. Rachel had to step back too. Conflict of interest if Warren was under investigation. I was alone. Brad's lawyer sent a letter. Drop all claims, accept 50-50 to custody, sign an NDA, or we pursue criminal charges against Warren Hayes and expand the investigation to include Rachel Cohen. I sat in the guest house, reading that letter, and felt something break inside me. I was 8 months pregnant, covered in healing burns that itched constantly, isolated from Warren and Rachel, running low on money. I had $3,200 in my personal account. Everything else was frozen. Brad might win. He might get shared custody. My daughter might spend half her life with the man who'd called her a golden ticket. I called Rachel from a burner phone Jenna bought. I can't do this, I said. I'm signing. I'm taking the deal. Mallory, I have to. I can't lose her. Even if it means sharing custody. At least she's safe. At least she's alive. Rachel was quiet for a long moment. Okay, if that's what you need to do. But Mallory, don't sign anything until I review it. Promise me. I promise. I hung up. Sat in the empty guest house. Put my hands on my belly. I'm sorry, I whispered to my daughter. I'm so sorry I can't protect you from him. That night at 2 a.m, I went into labor. Real labor. 4 weeks early. Contractions 5 minutes apart. I was alone. Jenna had gone home for a few hours to sleep. I called 911, gasping through the pain. The ambulance came. So did Brad. He'd been watching the house, waiting. I'm the father, Brad told the EMTs. I have a right to be here. And legally he did. The restraining order only covered harassment and threats, not medical situations involving his child. He followed the ambulance to the hospital, sat in the waiting room, played the concerned father to every nurse and doctor who'd listen. I labored for 11 hours. They wouldn't let Brad in the delivery room. I'd explicitly forbidden it. But he was there, just outside, waiting. At 3:47 in the afternoon, my daughter was born. 5 pounds, 3 ounces, tiny, perfect, struggling to breathe. They rushed her to the NICU. I caught only a glimpse. Dark hair, my nose, Brad's chin. Then everything went wrong. Postpartum hemorrhage. That's what they called it when I started bleeding too much after delivery. Code words for you might die. Emergency surgery, anesthesia, darkness. I woke up 14 hours later in a recovery room, alone. Where's my baby? I asked the nurse. My voice was hoarse. She's in the NICU, honey, doing well, breathing on her own now. I need to see her. Soon. You lost a lot of blood. You need to rest. But I didn't rest. I pushed the call button until a doctor came, argued until they brought a wheelchair. Let me go to the NICU. That's where I saw him. Brad, holding our daughter, skin-to-skin contact, doing kangaroo care like he'd read all the parenting books, like he was father of the year. A nurse stood nearby, smiling. Your husband has been amazing. He's barely left her side. My husband, the man who called her a golden ticket, who was only here because she secured his inheritance. He saw me, smiled, that charming smile that had made me fall in love with him 3 years ago. Mallory, he said softly, come meet our daughter. I couldn't speak, could barely breathe. A different nurse wheeled me closer, helped me hold her. She was so small, so perfect. She rooted against my chest, looking for food. I've been giving her formula, Brad said. Hope that's okay. You were unconscious and she needed to eat. He sounded so reasonable, so caring. I looked at my daughter, felt her tiny hand wrap around my finger. What should we name her? Brad asked. Harper, I said, the name I'd chosen months ago. Harper Rose. Harper Rose Hayes, Brad said. He pulled out his phone. Can I take a picture for the family? I was too tired to argue. He took the photo, then another, one of him holding Harper. One of all 3 of us. He posted them on social media before I left the NICU. My beautiful daughter. Daddy's here. The comments flooded in. Hundreds of people telling Brad what a wonderful father he was, how blessed Harper was, how beautiful our family looked. Nobody mentioned the restraining order, the assault, the affair, the lies. Brad was rewriting the narrative in real time, and I was too weak to stop him. Day 4 postpartum. The custody evaluator came, court-ordered, neutral third party, would assess both parents and make a recommendation to the judge. She interviewed Brad first. I watched through the NICU window. He was animated, engaged, showed her photos on his phone, of Harper, of me pregnant, of our apartment, evidence of a happy family. When she interviewed me, I was exhausted, on pain medication, emotional. I cried twice during the interview. Once when I talked about the fire, once when I talked about losing Warren's support. The evaluator's face stayed neutral, professional, but I saw the assessment happening. Stable father, unstable mother. 2 days later, Rachel called from an untraceable number. The preliminary custody report leaked to Brad's lawyer, she said. Her voice was tight. It's not good. Tell me. The evaluator noted that Brad appears bonded and capable, that he's been consistently present, that his family support system is strong. You're listed as recovering from trauma, on medication, emotionally volatile. Quote, mother appears unstable, father is bonded and capable. I couldn't breathe. Brad's filing for emergency temporary custody. Rachel continued. Hearing is in 48 hours. Mallory, I'm so sorry. Unless we get new evidence, we're losing. After she hung up, I sat in my hospital room, holding Harper, looking at her sleeping face. I survived with fire for this. To lose her anyway. I'd been crushed 3 times now. The attack, the betrayal, and now this. Each time I thought I'd hit bottom, a new bottom appeared. I looked at the scars on my arm, pink and shiny, permanent. Maybe I wasn't strong enough for this. Maybe Brad was right. Maybe I was too damaged, too broken, too unstable. Maybe my daughter deserved better than me. I put Harper back in her bassinet and cried until I couldn't breathe. That's when the door opened. Detective Dana Morris walked in. She wasn't in uniform. She looked tired, determined. Mrs. Hayes, she said, I need to talk to you about your husband, about what really happened at that wedding. I looked up at her. What do you mean? I mean, I never believed that Warren conspiracy theory. Detective Morris said, it never made sense. So I kept digging, and I found something. Someone, actually too, a man named Trent Ashford, Sloane's ex-boyfriend. He came forward yesterday. She pulled out her phone. He brought me recordings. Want to hear what your husband sounds like when he thinks no one's listening? Detective Morris weighed down at her phone on the hospital tray table. This recording is from 6 weeks before the wedding, she said. Trent Ashford recorded it on Sloane's phone when she left it unlocked at his apartment. They'd broken up 2 months prior, but she kept some belongings there. She pressed play. Sloane's voice came through first, crying. I can't keep doing this. Brad, watching you with her, pretending everything's fine. You knew the situation from the beginning. Brad's voice, cold, clinical. Nothing like the warm tone he used with me. Mallory is 7 months pregnant with my father's first grandchild. The timing is complicated. You said you'd leave her. I will, after the baby comes, after I've secured my position in the company. Be patient. I'm tired of being patient. You said we'd be together by now. A long pause. Then Brad, his voice dropping lower. Sloane, listen to me. Mallory means nothing. The baby is business. My father expects an heir. I'm delivering. Once the trust is secured, I file for divorce. We've talked about this. Then why is she still there? Why are you still playing happy husband? Because if I leave now, I get nothing. Don't you understand? I need the baby to be born. I need my name on the birth certificate. I need my father to believe I'm committed. Then I'm free. Sloane, quieter now. What if she doesn't let you go? What if she fights the divorce? Another pause. Longer this time. Then we'll make it so she can't fight. My blood went cold. What does that mean? Sloane asked. It means accidents happen. Pregnancies have complications. Women with high-risk pregnancies, sometimes things go wrong inside, especially when they're under stress. Brad, I'm not saying do anything. I'm saying if something happened naturally, if Mallory got hurt or sick, or if the pregnancy didn't go well, that would solve several problems. Wouldn't it? Silence on the recording. Think about it, Brad said. If Mallory was out of the picture, hospitalized long-term, or if she lost the baby, or if she was too traumatized to fight, I'd still inherit through the pregnancy. I'd still be Warren Hayes' son who tried to start a family. But I'd be free. We'd be free. You want me to hurt her? Sloane's voice was flat. I want you to think strategically. You're always saying you'd do anything for us. Here's your chance to prove it. The recording ended. I couldn't speak, couldn't move, couldn't think. Detective Morris played another one. This is from 2 weeks before the wedding. Brad's voice, Sloane, you're being dramatic again. I can't do this every time you get jealous. You touched her at the rehearsal dinner, in front of everyone. I have to maintain appearances. Jesus, if you can't handle this, Maybe we should take a break. No, no, I'm sorry. I can handle it. Can you? 'Cause right now you seem unstable. I need someone strong, someone who's going to be there when this is all over. If you can't do that, there are other women. I can do it. I'll do anything. What do you need me to do? Make it look like passion, not planning. Make it look like you snapped. Can you do that, Brad? I don't want to hurt anyone. Then you don't love me. Real love requires sacrifice. It requires doing hard things. But if you're too weak, I understand. I'm not weak. Prove it. Another recording ended. I felt nauseous, dizzy. Harper stirred in her bassinet beside me, and I instinctively put my hand on her, grounding myself. There are 6 more recordings, Detective Morris said. All of them show a pattern. Your husband systematically manipulated Sloane Parrish. He exploited her mental health issues. He planted the idea of hurting you. Then he made her feel like she had to prove her love by doing it. Why? I whispered. Why would he do this? Money, control, freedom. Detective Morris sat down. Brad wanted the inheritance your pregnancy would secure, but he didn't want you. He was trying to have both. And when Sloane actually went through with the attack, he planned to play the grieving husband. Sympathy from Warren, access to the trust, and eventually, freedom to be with Sloane or whoever else he wanted. Why did Trent wait? I asked. Why not come forward immediately? He was scared. Sloane had told him Brad was powerful, connected. After she was arrested, Sloane called Trent from jail, bragged about taking the plea deal, said Brad would take care of her when she got out. That's when Trent realized Brad had used her, that he was going to get away with everything. So he came to me. Detective Morris stood. Mallory, I'm arresting Bradley Hayes this afternoon. Conspiracy to commit attempted murder, witness tampering, fraud. He's going away for a long time. I looked at Harper, sleeping peacefully, unaware that her father was a monster. What happens now? I asked. Now you get a good lawyer. You fight for custody, and you win, because I'm going to make sure every word of these recordings gets played in court. The courthouse was cold, all marble and echoes and hard wooden benches that made my healing burns ache. It had been 3 days since Detective Morris arrested Brad. 3 days since the recordings went public. 3 days since my phone exploded with messages from reporters, from strangers, from people I hadn't talked to in years. The media frenzy was intense. Husband orchestrated wife's attack for inheritance was trending everywhere. Brad's PR machine couldn't spin this. The recordings were too clear, too damning. Sloane's plea deal was revoked. The prosecutor charged her with conspiracy. She'd spent decades in prison now, not years. But Brad was facing worse. I sat in the gallery, holding Harper. She was 2 weeks old, still tiny, still perfect. Jenna sat beside me on one side, Warren on the other. The no-contact order had been lifted once the investigation proved his innocence. Rachel Cohen sat at the prosecutor's table. She'd been cleared to help with the case now. She looked fierce in her dark suit, papers organized in neat stacks. Brad entered in handcuffs, orange jumpsuit, hair unwashed. He looked nothing like the polished man I'd married. His eyes scanned the courtroom, landing on me. He smiled. I held Harper tighter. The prosecutor stood, distinguished, gray-haired, the kind of lawyer who'd seen everything twice. Your Honor, the state is prepared to present evidence that Bradley Hayes, over the course of 6 weeks, manipulated Sloane Parrish into committing attempted murder against his pregnant wife. Mr. Hayes exploited Miss Parrish's documented mental health conditions, used coercion and psychological abuse, and planted the idea of harming Mallory Hayes in order to secure his inheritance while freeing himself from the marriage. Brad's lawyer objected. Young, expensive suit. But even he looked uncomfortable. The prosecutor played the recordings. All of them. Brad's voice filled the courtroom. Make it look like you snapped. Accidents happen to pregnant women. If she was out of the picture, we'd be free. I watched the jury. 12 faces. Horror. Disgust. Anger. Brad's lawyer tried. He argued entrapment. He argued the recordings were taken without consent. He argued Brad was merely venting and never intended actual harm. But then Trent Ashford took the stand. Trent was 34, software engineer, looked like he hadn't slept in weeks. He testified about Sloane's descent into instability, how she'd gone from confident and independent to paranoid and obsessed, how Brad would call her late at night, saying things that made her question reality. He told her Mallory was abusing him, Trent said, that Mallory had trapped him with the pregnancy, that he was scared but couldn't leave because Mallory would take everything. He painted himself as the victim. And Sloane, who was already struggling with anxiety and depression, believed him. Rachel cross-examined. Did Sloane ever express a desire to harm Mallory Hayes before Brad's alleged manipulation? Never, Trent said. She was jealous, sure, but she wasn't violent. Brad changed her. He weaponized her mental health. The trial lasted 3 days. On the third day, Brad took the stand in his own defense. Bad decision. The prosecutor tore him apart. Mr. Hayes, you testified that you loved your wife. Is that correct? Yes. Then why did you call your unborn daughter a golden ticket in text to your mistress? Brad's jaw tightened. That's taken out of context. I'll read the full text then. Quote, baby's the golden ticket to dad's trust. Once I secure it, I'm free. End quote. What context makes that acceptable? I was venting. I didn't mean my aunt Abishi. You also told Miss Parrish that if your wife was out of the picture, you'd be free. Correct. That's not yes or no, Mr. Hayes. I never told Sloane to hurt anyone. You told her accidents happen to pregnant women. You told her to make it look like passion, not planning. You told her to prove her love. What did you think she would do with those instructions? Brad's face flushed red. She was unstable. She misunderstood. She was unstable because you made her that way. You exploited her mental health. You manipulated her into believing violence was the answer. And when she actually did it, you planned to play the grieving husband. Brad stood up, shouting, I love my wife. I loved my baby. This is all lies. The judge banged his gavel. Mr. Hayes, sit down. But Brad wasn't done. He turned to me in the gallery. Mallory, you know me. You know I'd never hurt you. Please, tell them. Tell them I'm not this person. I stood, Harper in my arms, every eye in the courtroom on me. You called our daughter a golden ticket. I said. My voice was steady, clear. You told Sloane I was nothing. You manipulated 2 women until one of us almost died. You set me on fire just as much as she did. You just used someone else's hands. Brad's face twisted. The mask finally fully dropped. You ruined everything, he screamed. You and that baby, you ruined my life. Security rushed him, dragged him back to his seat. His lawyer looked like he wanted to disappear. The jury deliberated for 40 minutes. Guilty on all counts. The judge sentenced him immediately. 18 years. No possibility of parole for 12. Brad's face went white. No, this can't, Dad. Tell them. Warren didn't move, didn't speak. Just watched his son being led away in handcuffs. After the courtroom cleared, Warren and I stood in the hallway, Harper asleep against my chest. I'm sorry, Warren said, for raising someone capable of this. You didn't raise him to be this, I said. He chose this. Warren looked at Harper. May I hold her? I handed my daughter to her grandfather. He cradled her carefully. This man who'd built empires, who'd commanded respect from hundreds of employees, he held my tiny daughter like she was made of glass. She looks like you, Warren said. That's good. She shouldn't look like him. She's half him, whether we like it or not. No, Warren's voice was firm. She's all you. All the good parts. The survival, the strength, the hope. That's what she'll inherit, not his cruelty. 6 months after the fire, I stood in the bathroom of my new apartment. Not Warren's guest house, my own place. Small, 1 bedroom, but mine. I'd bought it with part of the settlement from Brad's trust. Warren had insisted on setting up a fund for Harper, but I'd refused most of it. I'm doing this myself. I'd told him. He'd respected that, though he still brought groceries every week and happened to have baby supplies whenever I needed them. I looked at my reflection in the mirror. The scars on my shoulder and back were pink, shiny, permanent. They caught the light differently than regular skin. Sometimes they itched. Sometimes they ached when it rained. But they were there, Proof I survived. Harper cried from the living room. I pulled on a shirt and went to her. 6 months old now, sitting up on her own, all smiles and chubby cheeks and curiosity about everything. Hey, baby girl, I said, picking her up. What's wrong? She immediately stopped crying. Just wanted to be held. I understood that feeling. My phone rang. Rachel. The final paperwork came through, she said. It's done, Sia. You have sole legal and physical custody. Brad's parental rights are terminated. He signed off yesterday. I'd expected relief, victory, something triumphant. Instead, I felt sad. For the father Harper would never know, for the life we might have had if Brad had been different, for the family that existed only in my imagination. Thank you, I said to Rachel. You did this, Mallory. You survived. You fought. You won. After we hung up, I sat on my couch with Harper. She grabbed my finger, squeezed with her whole tiny fist. Jenna arrived an hour later with takeout. She'd finished her medical residency, was starting as a surgeon at Boston General. We'd gotten so much closer through all of this. Trauma did that sometimes. Broke things or bonded them. How are you feeling? Jenna asked, setting up plates. I don't know, I said honestly. It's over. Really over. But I don't feel, they're finished. Is that weird? No, healing isn't linear. Some days will be good. Some will be terrible. That's normal. We ate. Harper played on her mat. Normal. Mundane. Beautiful. I start my support group next week, I said. The one for burn survivors. That's great. And I'm writing about everything. A woman from a publishing house reached out, wants to talk about a book. Jenna smiled. You should do it. Your story could help people. Or exploit my trauma for profit. Or both. Capitalism is complicated. We laughed. Real laughter. The kind I hadn't felt in months. That night, after Jenna left, I put Harper to bed, read her 3 books, even though she couldn't understand them yet. Sang lullabies my mother had sung to me. She fell asleep in my arms. I stood in her nursery, watching her breathe. I thought about all the moments that led here. The wedding, the fire, the hospital, the betrayal, the trial, the scars. Would I go back and change it if I could stop the fire? Never marry Brad. No, because then I wouldn't have Harper. And she was worth everything. The scars don't mean I'm broken. They mean I survived. They mean I'm here. Still standing, still fighting, still building a life worth living. And some days that's enough. 1 year after the fire, Harper's first birthday party was small. Just family. Jenna, Warren, Patricia Warren's ex-wife, who'd apologized 100 times for not seeing what Brad was. Rachel, Detective Morris, who'd become something like a friend. No Brad. Obviously, he was in prison. I'd gotten 1 letter from him 3 months ago. I'd thrown it away without reading it, whatever he wanted to say. I didn't need to hear it. We sang Happy Birthday in my tiny apartment. Harper smashed cake into her face with pure joy. Everyone laughed and took photos and pretended that everything was normal. And maybe it was. Maybe this was normal now. Survival. Rebuilding. Moving forward. After everyone left, I gave Harper a bath, washed cake from her hair. She giggled and splashed water everywhere. 1 year old and already trouble. I thought about where we'd been a year ago. Me, 7 months pregnant, standing at the edge of a lake, about to burn. If you'd told me then that I'd survive, I'm not sure I would have believed you. If you'd told me I'd be here independent, healing, watching my daughter laugh in a bathtub, I definitely wouldn't have believed you. But here we are. I dried Harper off, put her in soft pajamas, rocked her in the nursery while she drank her bottle. You know what, baby girl, I whispered. Your dad was a bad person. He did terrible things, and you're going to have questions someday. When you're older, about him, about what happened, about why he's not here. Harper's eyes were closing, but I kept talking. I'm going to tell you the truth, all of it, the good parts and the terrible parts, because you deserve to know where you came from. But Harper, you are not him. You are not his choices. You are every good thing that survived the fire. You are proof that something beautiful can come from something terrible. She fell asleep in my arms. I sat there a while longer, looking at her face in the dim nursery light. My phone buzzed, a text from an unknown number. Mrs. Hayes, this is Dr. Sarah Crawford from Women's Crisis Center. We're hosting our annual fundraising gala next month. We'd be honored if you'd speak, share your story, inspire others. Please let me know. Best, Sarah. I stared at the message, speaking publicly, about the fire, about Brad, about survival. Part of me wanted to say no, wanted to keep this private, wanted to move on quietly. But another part, the part that had survived fire and betrayal and 18 years of Brad's manipulation playing out in court, that part knew the answer. I typed back, I'll do it. Tell me when and where. 3 weeks later, I stood on a stage in front of 200 people, wearing a dress that showed the scars on my shoulder and back, holding note cards that I'd written and rewritten a dozen times. The room went quiet, everyone waiting. I took a breath. A year ago, I said, someone set me on fire. The audience leaned forward. Someone who claimed to love my husband. Someone my husband manipulated into believing I was the enemy. Someone who thought violence would solve her problems because the man she loved told her it would. I looked down at my notes, then decided to ignore them. I'm not here to tell you healing is easy. It's not. I still have nightmares. I still panic when I smell gasoline. I still have days where I can barely get out of bed, where the weight of everything that happened crushes me. Silence, complete attention. But I also have days of joy, of peace, of watching my daughter learn to walk, of building a life I actually want instead of a life someone else designed for me. I paused. Let that sink in. If you're in danger, leave. If you're being manipulated, trust your instincts. If you're scared, reach out. If you need help, ask. Because survival isn't just about living through something. It's about building a life worth surviving for. I told them about the wedding, the fire, the hospital, the discovery of Brad's lies, the trial, Harper, all of it, raw and honest and real. People always say what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, I said. But that's not quite right. What doesn't kill you leaves scars, some visible, some not. The question isn't whether you have scars, it's what you do with them. I lifted my arm, turning slightly so they could see the burn scars clearly. These scars don't make me broken. They make me a survivor. They remind me that I'm still here, that I won, that I'm building something better from the ashes. I looked out at the audience, saw tears, saw recognition, saw women who understood. You can too, I said quietly. Whatever fire you are walking through, whatever betrayal you're surviving, whatever hell you're enduring, you can make it through. You can rebuild. You can throw. The room erupted in applause. People stood, some crying, some smiling. After my speech, women approached me, one by one, each with a story, each with scars of their own. My ex tried to kill me twice. One woman said, I was too scared to report it, but after seeing you, I filed charges yesterday. My husband gaslights me constantly. Another said, I thought I was crazy, but your story helped me see the truth. I left last week, a third woman whispered. Your daughter is why. I want my kids to see that survival is possible. I hugged them, all of them, strangers united by trauma and hope. That night, I went home to Harper. She was asleep in her crib, watched over by Jenna. How did it go? Jenna asked. Good, I said. Really good. I think I helped people. Of course you did. You're amazing. Mallory. After Jenna left, I checked on Harper one more time, watched her breathe, thought about everything we'd been through, everything we'd survived. I thought about Brad in prison, about Sloan serving her sentence, about Warren and Patricia trying to make amends for the son they'd raised. I thought about scars and survival and what it means to be enough. Then I turned off the light and went to my own room. Tomorrow I'd wake up, feed Harper, maybe write some more of my book, go to therapy, have lunch with Jenna, attend my support group, live my life. Not the life I'd planned, not the fairy tale I'd imagined, but mine, real, hard, beautiful, scarred, surviving. And that, That was enough. 3 weeks later, I stood on a stage in front of 200 women. The speech I'd written and rewritten a dozen times sat forgotten in my pocket. When I opened my mouth, the truth just came out. Raw, honest, real. A year ago, someone set me on fire, I said. Someone my husband manipulated into believing I was the enemy. I told them everything. The wedding, the hospital, the betrayal, the recordings, the trial. Harper, when I lifted my arm to show the scars on my shoulder, the room was silent. These scars don't make me broken, I said. They make me a survivor. The applause was deafening. Afterward, women approached me, one by one, each with a story. I filed charges yesterday because of you. I left last week. Your daughter gave me courage. I thought I was crazy. Your story showed me the truth. I hugged them all. Strangers united by trauma and hope. That night, I went home to Harper. She was asleep, watched over by Jenna. I checked on my daughter one more time, watched her breathe, thought about everything we'd survived. Tomorrow I'd wake up, feed Harper, maybe start writing that book the publisher wanted, go to therapy, attend my support group, live my life. Not the life I'd planned, not the fairy tale I'd imagined, but mine, real, hard, beautiful, scarred, surviving. I looked at my reflection in the darkened window, saw the woman I'd become, stronger, wiser, free. The scars on my shoulder caught the light. They used to remind me of pain. Now they reminded me of power. I survived the fire. I survived the betrayal. I survived the fight. And that was more than enough. If this story resonated with you, if it made you think or feel or remember your own strength, do something for me. Share it, not for views or likes, but because someone you know might need to hear it. Someone might be ignoring red flags right now. Someone might be believing lies. Someone might need permission to leave.